Well, now, let's be perfectly frank, shall we? You've gotten yourself into a rather marvelous pickle. You've decided, with all the solemnity and fervor of a knight preparing for a holy crusade, to undertake one of the oldest and arduous quests known to man. You are going to storm the castle of your own nature. You are going to vanquish the dragon. You are going to overcome lust. And almost immediately, you discovered something peculiar, didn't you? The universe itself seemed to become your adversary. It began to feel as if some cosmic intelligence, some inscrutable examiner, was deliberately placing beautiful forms in your path, whispering tantalizing thoughts into the quiet spaces of your mind, arranging the world as a perpetual temptation, all to test the fortitude of your spirit, to see if you are truly made of the right stuff. And you feel this constant subtle pressure, this examination, and you buckle down, you grit your teeth, you marshal your willpower, and you say, "I shall not be moved. I will overcome." But I am here to propose to you a rather radical and perhaps even amusing idea. What if you have entirely misunderstood the nature of the test? What if the universe is not a stern, patriarchal schoolmaster with a ruler waiting to rap your knuckles every time you fail? What if, instead, the universe is a vast, mirror-like intelligence, and its test is not a test of your strength to suppress life, but of your wisdom to understand it? You see, the fundamental error, the glorious and human mistake, is that you believe the problem is out there, in the energy itself. But the problem, the exquisite tension, is in the relationship you have with the energy. You have declared war on a part of yourself, and then are astonished to find yourself at war. So, let us pull up our chairs, light our pipes, and delve into this labyrinth. Let us not seek a quick exit, but let us wander its corridors. For it is in the wandering that we find we were never truly lost to begin with.
The very instant you utter the phrase, "I must overcome lust," you have performed a magical act of splitting yourself in two. You have created a schism in your own being, a civil war in the kingdom of your soul. On one side, you have the I, the righteous king, the spiritual aspirant, the one who seeks the light, who wishes to be pure, to be in control, to be good. And on the other side, you have created the it, the shadowy adversary, the beast in the dungeon, the primal chaotic energy of lust that must be chained, subdued, and ultimately executed. But now let me ask you this, and this is the most crucial question you may ever ask yourself. Who is this I? Who is this entity that is so disgusted, so frightened, so determined to conquer? Is it not, upon the most gentle and honest inspection, simply another collection of desires? It is the desire for approval, perhaps from yourself, perhaps from a god you imagine. It is the desire for security, the desire to be beyond reproach, the desire to attain a certain spiritual status. So you see, this grand and noble war is not, as you imagined, a battle between spirit and flesh, between the angel and the demon. It is a farcical and deeply human conflict between one set of desires and another set of desires. The desire for ascetic purity is at war with the desire for sensory pleasure. And the universe, in its infinite and playful wisdom, watches this charade and amplifies it. Because the first rule of the mind is this: what you resist persists. The energy you are trying to push down does not vanish. It goes underground. It gathers force in the darkness of your unconscious. It seeps out in dreams, in irritability, in a constant low-grade obsession with the very thing you are trying to avoid. You are trying to hold a gigantic beach ball underwater. You can do it for a time, with immense strain, but the moment your attention wavers, it explodes to the surface with tremendous force. And you call that explosion a failure, a sin. The test, therefore, is not to see how long you can hold the ball underwater. The test is to see when you will realize the absurdity of the game itself. The universe is testing your capacity for insight, not your capacity for force.
We have inherited, through centuries of rather dour theology, a notion that this raw, biological, surging energy is a taint, a fall from grace, something that separates us from the divine. But I must invite you to look at it again, to strip away the label lust, and to see the thing in itself. What is it? It is a current of pure life force. It is a biological and spiritual electricity that animates your very form. It is the same power that thrusts a sapling through concrete, that spins galaxies in an endless dance, that draws the bee to the flower. In the profound traditions of the East, this is not a devil. This is Shakti, the dynamic, creative, manifesting power of the universe itself, the consort of the divine consciousness of Shiva. In China, it is Qi, or Qi, the fundamental energy that flows through all things, the breath of the Tao. When you set out to overcome this, you are like a wave trying to overcome its wetness. You are attempting to sever your own roots from the cosmos. You are trying to unplug yourself from the main current of existence and then run on the feeble battery of your ego. The universe tests you by constantly, lovingly, relentlessly reminding you of this connection. Every pang of desire is a reminder. You are alive. You are part of this. You are not a disembodied angel. You are a glorious, incarnate being. The test is not to kill the God of life, but to learn its true name. The sensation you feel is not a demon to be exorcised. It is a wild, untamed God that you have mistaken for a devil, and the test is to learn how to invite it to tea, to listen to its stories, to understand its power, and to channel its colossal energy. So, if the path of the warrior who fights leads to exhaustion, and the path of the repressor who denies leads to explosion, what is the alternative? The alternative is the most subtle and the most profound art of all, the art of changing your relationship to the energy. The universe is not sending you temptations to make you fall. It is presenting you with phenomena, with forms, with sensations, to see how you will relate to them. The test is in the relationship. When a beautiful human form walks by or a compelling image arises in your mind, the ancient habitual response is for the ego to immediately leap into action. It either leaps toward it with grasping, with a script of possession and pleasure, or it leaps away from it with fear, with guilt, with a script of rejection and sin. In both cases, you are caught, you are identified, you are the actor in the drama. The practice, the real spiritual practice, is to cultivate the role of the witness. Can you see the beautiful form without the mind immediately writing a novel about it? Can you feel the sensation of arousal in your body, the heat, the quickening pulse, the tension, without giving it a name,
without calling it lust or temptation or sin? Can you simply be the spacious, silent awareness in which this entire meteorological event of body and mind is happening? You watch a thunderstorm. You see the lightning. You hear the thunder. You feel the rain. You do not feel guilty for the lightning. You do not try to stop the thunder. You witness it. You allow it to be. And in that allowing, it arises, it plays itself out, and it passes. This is the secret. When you can be the witness of the sensation, you are no longer its slave. You are no longer the stone being battered by the river of feeling. You are the riverbank, the spacious ground upon which the river flows. The universe is testing your ability to be that ground, that witness. It is not testing your ability to stop the river. We must now turn our attention to the most cunning character in this entire play, the ego. The ego is not some vile entity. It is simply the social construct of your identity, the character you play. And this character absolutely adores a good spiritual struggle. Why? Because it gives the ego a magnificent starring role. Before the struggle, you were just John, an ordinary man. But now you are John the spiritual warrior. You have a quest. You have an adversary. Your life is a grand epic of overcoming. This is a fantastically gratifying identity. It allows you to feel superior to all those poor souls who are still wallowing in their desires. You can look upon them with a subtle spiritual condescension. But the universe, the ultimate trickster, is not fooled. It allows this ego to build its castle, to polish its armor, to feel victorious for a time. And then, inevitably, the energy you have been suppressing gathers force and erupts. You have what you call a lapse, a failure, and now the ego, ever the brilliant actor, simply switches costumes. It is no longer John the spiritual warrior. It is now John the penitent sinner, the prodigal son, the one who is falling from grace and must now wallow in guilt and self-flagellation. This is an equally dramatic, equally satisfying role. The ego is the star of the show, whether the show is one of triumphant virtue or of tragic failure. The test the universe is presenting is to see if you can see the curtain. Can you spot the stage machinery? Can you catch a glimpse of the actor behind all the masks, putting on the makeup? The test is to see through the entire production, to realize that your spiritual drama, with all its triumphs and failures, is just that, a drama. A story you are telling yourself. And the moment you see that, the whole show loses its compelling power.
So, you see, we have been looking at this entire affair from the wrong end of the telescope. The universe is not a stern father punishing you for being alive. It is a playful mother inviting you to understand the nature of the energy that she has given you. The tension you feel, the testing, the struggle. It is all a grand and elaborate lesson in consciousness. It is the cosmos's way of asking you, have you realized who you are yet? When you stop fighting the feeling and instead begin to explore it with a curious, non-judgmental awareness, a great miracle occurs. The energy that was once bound up in the conflict is released. It ceases to be a problem called lust and simply becomes life. It becomes passion for your music, depth in your relationships, vitality in your body, and awe before the sheer beauty of existence. The test, then, is not something you pass or fail. It is a dance you learn, a rhythm you find. So, the next time you feel that familiar surge, that old feeling of being tested, I invite you to do something radical. Smile, take a deep breath, and instead of declaring war, simply say, "Ah, there you are, the life force, the Shakti. Let us see what we can create together." For you are not a stranger in a hostile universe. You are the universe itself, feeling its own power, learning its own rhythms, and waking up to its own astonishing game.